Barry Gibb was born on September 1, 1946, on a small island called the Isle of Man. He's the oldest brother in the famous music group called the Bee Gees. Barry helped create the sounds we hear in pop, rock, and disco music today. From when he was a little kid surrounded by music to becoming one of the most respected songwriters in the world, Barry's story is full of creativity, strength, and amazing success. His special high singing voice and ability to write beautiful songs helped make the Bee Gees worldwide superstars and left behind music that still inspires artists today. Barry grew up in a family that loved music. When the Gibb family moved to Manchester, England, he and his younger twin brothers, Robin and Maurice, started singing together and writing songs. In the late 1950s, the family moved to Redcliffe, Queensland, Australia. This move turned out to be really important for their music careers. In Australia, Barry got better at writing songs and started performing with his brothers. They called themselves the Rattlesnakes at first, then changed their name to the Bee Gees, which is short for the Brothers Gibb. When they performed on Australian TV shows, important people in the music business noticed them, and they got their first record deal. By the middle of the 1960s, Barry and his brothers went back to England, ready to become famous. They had their big break in 1967 with hit songs like To Love Somebody, Massachusetts, and New York Mining Disaster 1941. Barry's meaningful lyrics and unique voice quickly became what people loved most about their music. What made Barry different from other musicians was that he could change with the times. When people's music tastes changed in the 1970s, he led the Bee Gees through one of the biggest changes in pop music history. They went from being a gentle pop group to becoming the kings of disco music. The Bee Gees songs for the movie Saturday Night Fever in 1977 made them incredibly famous around the world. With classic hits like Staying Alive, Night Fever, and How Deep Is Your Love, Barry's amazing songwriting skills topped the music charts. His special high voice became one of the most recognizable sounds in the world, representing the late 1970s. The soundtrack became one of the best-selling albums ever, and Barry's name became linked with the best time of disco music. Even though some people criticized them for making disco music, Barry's work during this time is now seen as groundbreaking and influential. He set new standards for singing harmonies, music production, and melodies in pop music. Besides his work with the Bee Gees, Barry also became an excellent songwriter and producer for other famous singers. He wrote and produced hit songs for legends like Barbra Streisand, Guilty, Woman in Love, Diana Ross, Chain Reaction, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream, and Celine Dion, Immortality. His ability to create songs that perfectly matched each singer's voice and style showed how versatile he was and how well he understood emotions in music. Very few artists in history have been able to stay this excellent for so many decades, and Barry Gibb is one of those special few. Barry's life had its share of sad times too. When his brothers Maurice died in 2003 and Robin died in 2012, those were very painful times for him. After losing both of his musical partners and lifelong friends, Barry talked openly about how lonely and sad he felt. But he found the strength to keep performing and keep the Bee Gees' legacy alive. His solo work, including albums like In the Now in 2016, showed a more personal and thoughtful side of his music, reflecting on love, loss, and carrying on. Throughout his career, Barry Gibb has won countless awards and honors. Queen Elizabeth II made him a knight in 2018 for his contributions to music and charity work, making him Sir Barry Gibb. This recognized not only his huge contributions to the arts but also his work helping others. The Bee Gees were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1997, proving their lasting impact on music around the world. On November 6, 2020, Gibb announced his newest album called Greenfields, which is an album where he sings duets with country music artists like Dolly Parton, Little Big Town, Alison Krauss, and others. The album has 11 Bee Gees songs and one unreleased Gibb song reimagined as country music. The song Words of a Fool, featuring Jason Isbell, was released the same day as a preview. Barry originally wrote this song in 1986 for an album that was never released. Barry Gibb's personal life has been just as interesting and long-lasting as his legendary music career. It's been marked by moments of deep love, commitment, and strength. Over the years, he has experienced both the happy times and sad times of marriage, and his relationships have shaped him into the man he is today, grounded, loyal, and deeply devoted to his family. His two marriages, first to Maureen Bates and later to Linda Gray, each tell a story about different parts of his life. One was about being young and ambitious, and the other was about lasting love and unwavering partnership. Barry's first marriage was to Maureen Bates, a relationship that started before he became internationally famous. They got married in 1966 when Barry was still a young man in his early 20s, working hard with his brothers Robin and Maurice to make the Bee Gees a successful musical group. Their marriage happened during a time in early adulthood filled with excitement and uncertainty that came with chasing a dream in the entertainment industry. Though not many details about their relationship are publicly known, their marriage took place just as Barry and his brothers were getting ready to move from Australia back to England, where they would soon become global superstars. The huge pressure of fame, the demanding schedules, and the fast-paced lifestyle that followed likely put stress on the marriage. Eventually, the couple divorced in 1970 after 4 years together. Despite the heartbreak, Barry has always been respectful toward Maureen, never speaking publicly with bitterness or regret. Their brief marriage marked an important chapter in his emotional and personal growth, teaching him about love, fame, and the challenges of balancing both. Not long after his divorce from Maureen, Barry's life took a happier and more lasting turn when he met Linda Gray, a strikingly beautiful former Miss Edinburgh who would soon become his lifelong partner and the love of his life. Barry and Linda got married in 1970, the very same year his first marriage ended. This decision showed how deeply and confidently he felt about their connection. Their love story has lasted through the years, making them one of the most enduring couples in the entertainment world. While many celebrity marriages fall apart under the spotlight, Barry and Linda's bond has only gotten stronger with each passing decade. Together, they have raised 5 children, Stephen, Ashley, Travis, Michael, and Alexandra, and have built a family life based on love, stability, and mutual respect. Linda has been much more than Barry's wife. She has been his anchor through the dizzying highs of fame and the heartbreaking lows of loss. When the Bee Gees rose to superstardom in the 1970s, becoming icons of the disco era with hits like Staying Alive, Night Fever, and How Deep Is Your Love, Linda was right by Barry's side, keeping his life balanced and grounded. Through the years, she supported him through creative triumphs and personal tragedies, including the deaths of his brothers Maurice and Robin, which deeply affected him. Barry has often said that Linda saved him from the darker sides of fame, saying that her steady love and faith in him have kept him centered. Their marriage, now spanning more than 5 decades, is a rare example of enduring love in show business. Barry and Linda have spent much of their married life in Miami, Florida, where they have enjoyed a relatively private life. Despite Barry's worldwide fame, their home has been a sanctuary, a place where Barry could retreat from the demands of the music industry and focus on family life. The two have also shared a passion for nature, horses, and quiet living, a lifestyle far removed from the glitz and chaos of Hollywood. Over the years, Barry has often talked about how Linda has been his greatest source of strength and inspiration, and that without her, he might never have survived the pressures that come with being a legend. For decades, fans around the world have been captivated by the legendary music and enduring brotherhood of the Bee Gees, Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb. Their harmonies defined an era. Their songwriting reshaped pop music, and their bond, both creative and familial, stood at the heart of their success. Yet behind the fame and the shimmering lights of global stardom, the relationship between Barry and his late brother Robin was far more complicated, filled with love, rivalry, admiration, and deep regret. Now at 79, Barry Gibb has finally opened up about the truth behind their brotherhood, an emotional revelation that sheds light on the triumphs and tensions that shaped their extraordinary journey together. Robin was always different, Barry began softly in an interview, reflecting on his brother's unique spirit. He had this mysterious side, almost ethereal, like he was living in another world. But that's what made him brilliant. His voice could make you feel things that words couldn't describe. Barry spoke with the tone of a man who has lived long enough to appreciate both the genius and the fragility of his younger brother. The two were in many ways opposites. Barry was the grounded leader and creative anchor. Robin was the dreamer, poetic and unpredictable. This contrast often fueled their music and their conflicts. Barry admitted that during the height of the Bee Gees' fame, creative differences often strained their relationship. "We had fights that could last for days," he confessed. Sometimes it wasn't even about the music. It was about who was right, who was being heard. We were 3 brothers with 3 very strong opinions. Yet, despite their disagreements, Barry never doubted Robin's talent. He described how Robin's haunting voice brought emotional depth to hits like I Started a Joke and Massachusetts, turning simple lyrics into timeless pieces of art. Still, as Barry revealed, fame can test even the strongest family ties. "There were times when we didn't speak," he said, his voice tinged with sadness. "Robin went his way, I went mine, and Maurice was always the peacemaker in between. I think we hurt each other without meaning to, but deep down there was always love, even when we couldn't say it." The passing of Maurice in 2003 brought Barry and Robin briefly closer, but it also forced them to confront years of unspoken tension and buried emotion. "When Mo died," Barry admitted, "it broke something inside both of us. We realized how much time we had wasted fighting over things that didn't matter." Barry's most emotional reflections came when speaking about Robin's final days in 2012. "I remember visiting him in the hospital," Barry recalled. "He was so frail, but his spirit was still there. He smiled and said, 'We did it, didn't we, Baz?' That's when it hit me. All the music, all the years, everything we went through, it was all worth it because we did it together." Barry paused as tears welled in his eyes, describing how that moment became a kind of peace between them, a closing of the circle that began in their childhood on the Isle of Man. Since Robin's death, Barry has carried the legacy of the Bee Gees alone, performing their songs as both a tribute and a burden. "It's lonely being the last one," he admitted. "Sometimes I walk out on stage and I can almost hear their voices beside me. Robin's harmony, Maurice's laughter. They're still with me. I think about them every day." He spoke of the quiet nights when he sits in his Miami home, surrounded by old photographs and records, remembering not the fame, but the brotherhood, the laughter, the shared dreams, and the love that survived even the darkest moments. Barry also confessed that it took him years to forgive himself for the things left unsaid. "If I could go back, I'd tell Robin how proud I was of him," he said. "We were young and foolish, too caught up in trying to be the best. But I see now that Robin was irreplaceable. There will never be another voice like his." His words revealed not only his grief but also a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for having shared the stage and life with two brothers who changed the world through their music. Today, when Barry performs songs like "To Love Somebody" or "How Deep Is Your Love," he feels as though his brothers are singing with him. "The Bee Gees will always be three," he said firmly. "No matter what happens, Robin and Maurice are part of me. We'll always be together in the music, in the memories, in the hearts of those who still listen." In telling his truth, Barry Gibb has finally given fans a glimpse into the emotional core of the Bee Gees, a story not just of fame and music, but of family, forgiveness, and everlasting love. His words remind us that even in the face of loss, the harmony of brotherhood never truly fades. "Robin," Barry concluded softly, "wasn't just my brother, he was my other half, and I'll spend the rest of my life keeping his voice alive." At 95, Clint Eastwood finally tells the truth about Rob Reiner. Clint Eastwood was born Clinton Eastwood Jr. on May 31, 1930 in San Francisco, California during the Great Depression. His early years were filled with lots of moves as his family went from place to place across California looking for work. This moving around a lot taught him to be independent and to keep his feelings to himself. Eastwood was a quiet, thoughtful child who liked to watch and listen more than talk. These traits would later become part of who he was on screen. Music was important in his life early on, especially jazz and piano. This gave him a love for rhythm, mood, and keeping things simple. These things would later shape how he made movies. After finishing high school, Eastwood worked many different jobs, including lifeguard, lumberjack, and gas station worker. These jobs taught him about regular working people and made him respect hard work and never giving up. His path to becoming an actor didn't happen right away. It happened slowly, almost by accident, after he left the U.S. Army and started looking for chances in Hollywood. Eastwood's early acting career was full of rejection and not knowing what would happen. Universal Pictures signed him in the mid-1950s, but they let him go after small roles didn't impress the bosses. They criticized his looks, his voice, and said he didn't have charisma. Instead of giving up, these failures made him stronger. He kept studying acting, taking small roles, and patiently waiting for a chance that would let him grow instead of just fitting in. That chance came in 1959 with the TV show Rawhide. Playing Rowdy Yates, Eastwood got steady work and people started knowing who he was over 8 seasons. Even though the role gave him money and fame, he felt creatively stuck and wanted more challenging material. His willingness to take a big risk, leaving American TV to work in Italian movies, would change his life and movie history. In the mid-1960s, Eastwood took a role that didn't pay much in Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. These movies completely changed the Western genre and introduced Eastwood's famous man with no name character. This was a quiet, morally complicated anti-hero who didn't talk much but whose stare said everything. Eastwood's performance changed what it meant to be masculine on screen. He wasn't flashy or talkative. Instead, his power came from holding back, his presence, and what he suggested without saying. The success of these films made him a star around the world and forever changed how Westerns looked and felt. More importantly, they gave Eastwood control. Control over what roles he chose, his creative direction, and his professional independence. Coming back to Hollywood in the late 1960s and 1970s, Eastwood became one of the biggest stars in the business. Movies like Dirty Harry made his image as a tough, no-nonsense enforcer of justice even stronger. The character of Harry Callahan started big arguments. Some people praised it as showing how frustrated the public was with crime. Others criticized it as showing authoritarianism. Eastwood, however, always pushed back against simple explanations. He insisted his characters showed moral complexity, not just one political view. During this time, Eastwood showed amazing variety, appearing in westerns, action movies, thrillers, romantic dramas, and comedies. Movies like Play Misty for Me, High Plains Drifter, The Outlaw Josie Wales, Every Which Way But Loose, and Escape from Alcatraz showed his range and growing confidence behind the camera. He wasn't just acting. He was learning, trying new things, and quietly getting ready for his biggest change yet. As a director, Clint Eastwood developed his own special style. It was marked by simplicity, keeping emotions restrained, and deep respect for actors. He liked doing very few takes, using natural lighting, and telling stories without overdoing it. This let performances feel real and stories unfold without being too much. His films often explored themes of getting old, regret, redemption, violence, and moral consequences. These were subjects rarely treated with such depth in mainstream movies. His directing achievements reached their peak with Unforgiven in 1992. This was a different kind of Western that tore down the myths of heroism and violence that had defined the genre. The film earned Eastwood Academy Awards for Best Director and Best Picture. This firmly established him as one of the great filmmakers of his generation. He followed this success with an amazing run of critically praised films including Mystic River, $1 Million Baby, Letters from Iwo Jima, Gran Torino, Changeling, and American Sniper. His praise extends far beyond Hollywood. Eastwood has been honored with 3 César Awards, one of Europe's most prestigious film honors. This reflects the deep respect he commands within the international movie community. In recognition of his huge influence on American film culture, he was also awarded the American Film Institute's Life Achievement Award. This is a tribute reserved for artists whose work has fundamentally shaped the identity and evolution of cinema in the United States. In 2000, Eastwood's global status was cemented when the Venice Film Festival gave him the Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement. This is one of the most respected honors in international film. This award celebrated not just individual films, but an entire body of work marked by moral complexity, emotional restraint, and a distinctive directing voice that has remained powerful well into his later years. France, a nation known for its deep love for film as an art form, has twice honored Eastwood with its highest civilian awards. In 1994, he was named a Commander of the Order of Arts and Letters, recognizing his exceptional contribution to the arts and his influence on cultural life worldwide. More than 10 years later, in 2007, he received the Legion of Honor, France's most prestigious decoration. This placed him among a small group of global figures whose achievements go beyond borders and generations. Together, these awards paint the picture of an artist whose influence is not limited to any single country or time period, but whose legacy continues to inspire and define cinema on a truly global scale.